Alafia, peace and blessings. Aboro Boye, Abo Shishe. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha Bami, and today I have the luxury of having on a staple in our community. I would dare say the distinguished elder of our community, Baba Oloye Ifa Karade. Baba, what's going on, man? How you doing today, Baba?
One love, Akbar Ato. All right, share lafia need to all of our illustrious listeners out there. Okay, well, I'm still breathing and I'm still kicking. All right, and we have some fantastic points of view to be shared with the world today. So it's going to be an exciting podcast. Again, we're thanking everyone for tuning in, and let's make it happen. All right.
Yes, sir. We're gonna make it do what it do. We're gonna make it do what it do, baby. We're gonna make it do what it do. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
All right.
Yeah, man. So with that, bye the energy has been on swole. It's been on it's been up. The energy's really been up the last few episodes. So I want to keep that same energy and keep it pushing because the people are definitely, loving it. I'm loving it. And I'm loving the feedback and I share is growing, and I'm very happy with it, pleased with it, and I appreciate, all of those who are tuning in with us. So it means a lot, and that's what we do it for, to pour into the community. So first and foremost, thanks to all of you, who are viewing the channel, who are, liking, subscribing, and sharing the channel and sharing the Isese words of wisdom, especially the ones that are coming from the elders. And we were blessed to have on some feminine energy last week, which is making a very strong splash on the channel as well. So the people are definitely speaking clearly that they want to see more of that, and so we're going to do our best to bring it to you. But with that, we have a special topic today. That's something that is very needed and is definitely very essential for anyone who's on their journey in terms of Ifa, Orisha, Isheshe, etc. And we want to get into two of the most fundamental key elements in this tradition. So, Baba, one of them those would be Baba Eshu, and the other
Mhm.
one would be Baba Ogun. So, Baba, with that, how significant is our relationship with our journey, especially for those who are new, or maybe even some who have been on the journey for a while, who made it, to the highest levels in terms of, the initiatory steps of
Mhm.
this tradition. How significant is our relationship with Eshu, Baba?
Very okay. Now there are numerous, you know, examples and numerous attributes that are tied to, connected with, uh, let's just say now, eschew. Okay. Now, I don't intend on speaking on all of them, but
Hmm.
I do want to hit a couple of high notes. All right. And the first being eschew as a messenger. Okay. All throughout, okay, the realm of Orisha, the being of Eshu Nekba, is that of messenger,
Mm. That's it.
be it the Odu, because Eshu is right there with Orumila, okay,
That's it.
be it with the Abos, because homage has to be given to Eshu,
That's it.
okay, be it through our embodiment of this corporeal, this essence of life, okay, the nervous system, okay, the spinal cord, that which reaches through every aspect of our being, from the body to the brain, from the brain to the body, okay. It's all about Eshu, okay? even at the marketplace, back in the pre-invasion days, I don't really want to say colonial because it was no colony, but the invasion days, okay, we would have statues of Eshu in front of the marketplace.
Mm.
Because in the marketplace, there's high levels of communication going on. There's high levels of messages going on. There are high levels of negotiations going on. And Eshu is the symbolic manifestation, if you will, of all of that interchange and exchange.
Mm.
Okay. So for those of us who are venturing into business, for those of us or businesses, for those of us who are venturing into the communicative skills, communicative professions. Okay, we look to Eshu for the guidance. We look to Eshu to sharpen our abilities to better communicate, to better negotiate, okay, to better navigate, through the system. Again, we look at it internally as well as externally. We look at it esoterically as well as exoterically. Okay, so if we're not working on our own nervous system, for example, if we're not being cognizant of how messages are at the speed of phenomenal, okay, happening in light of uh, the Eshu principle,
Mm-hmm.
then uh, from my little humble corner of the cosmos, we're kind of missing out on what Eshu brings to us in and throughout our lives.
Mm.
Okay, and what I find uh, as interesting, relatedly, is that Eshu can take on any form.
Mm.
Eshu can take on any form. Okay, he, she, it, they, and Eshu is not, particular about who he has to deal with. You can
Mm.
deal with, the wicked folks, and he can deal with, the folks who are, sagely, folks who are pure in their status. So she was like, I'll deal with anybody any way that I can in order to bring about, hopefully it's the best. And again, the continuation, the perpetuation of our culture, and the continuation of the reverence that we must have for the Odu. See, again, back to that exchange part in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is why some of us had to make a little offering of cowrie shells to 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 our shoes. You
Man,
know,
listen.
because the cowrie shells was symbolic of the monetary system. Okay, they weren't just for divining. There were various types of cowrie shells used for various types of societal endeavors and realities. Folks were handling their business, and this whole notion of we weren't doing that. We have to realize that that's part of the oppressive design. It's like, oh, you didn't have cities and you didn't have this and you didn't have, and if you did, I still have people who having trouble even thinking that, African folks rode on horses, because that's a dignified position, to be on a horse. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Right.
You know? But at the same time, you'll jump up and down about Pharaoh and the chariots, chasing Moses. Well, what was pulling the chariots? you
Right.
they have horses. What's your problem? So we tend not to see ourselves in positions of that which is dignified. You know, we'll lean towards the royal, but we'll shy away from the heroic and the dignified and and the magnificent and the majestic. You know, and the lucrative. Okay, you know. So Eshu was there to say it's time to do something about that. You know, on a mass scale. Yeah, there's individuals, but what's the percent of, you know, black millionaires and billionaires compared to what's the percent of black folks who don't even have, you know, $500 in savings? You understand? You know, what's the percent of people who aren't, you know, in the marketplace, you know, primarily because they're not marketable and
Mm,
don't know anything about marketing. Had a
mm,
talk with my college students today. You know, when we take economics, and you know, we had somebody come in, or economic, I said, yeah, but is he talking to you about investing in stocks? You're in your 20s. If you find, you know, a worthwhile stock, instead of getting brand new sneakers and, you know, grandma giving you money to have fun with, start talking about investing in stock. You can invest $1,000 in a stock now. 20 years from now, oh, it's going to be worth a whole lot more than $1,000. You know, and you just in your 20s, you look up and have $80,000 based on that stock. And if you're getting dividends, you see, you're making a $2,000 or $3,000, you know, a year, and you're not touching it for another 20 years. You see, but see, this is what I mean about, oh, we all into Orisha, but we're not letting Orisha come all into us,
mm, mm,
you know. And as you was had me in a headlock all last week, man.
mm,
Had me in a headlock. And again, you know, yeah, you can be in, you know, into Isese and all that kind of stuff, but you have to be in it for a while. Just like you have to be in anything else for a while. And you have to be in it, you know, with effort, you know, to understand and to learn and to experience and to articulate those experiences, because the portal, you know, just keeps opening wider, and more keeps coming in, but more you has to be put in as well. Back to the term of reciprocity.
mm-hmm.
So she had me in a headlock, man, and it was like, you know, it's time for you, you know, to act like, you know, and it was coming to me in all kinds of ways,
Mm,
all kinds of ways, that made me question how I was perceiving the symbolic issue,
mm,
because now I'm seeing it in a whole nother light. And I wasn't trying to see it, but it made itself clear to me. And as a result, I had the conversation with you. I shared with you, you know, what, and I took it. I understood that I got to keep listening
mm. I share.
in order to be heard. You know what I mean? All right, so that's my piece on SU, you know, for this podcast.
Yeah, nah, and that's dope. I'm glad that you actually shared that because I think a lot of people do know, I believe, the significance of Eshu, but I feel like those who are further along in the journey and those who, you know, that have been in the tradition and those who have maybe received the step one of the Elekes and step two of the
Mhm.
warriors, you know, and everybody's path is different. Most people, it'll be Elekes, warriors, hand of V5, you know, being
Mhm.
crowned. And then some people, it might be hand of V5, it might be warriors, then, you know,
Mhm.
Elekes. Everybody's path is different and everybody goes through a different scenario based upon, I guess, what comes from divination. But there's another Orisha who has a very significant role, which they all have significant roles. So we just
Mhm.
gonna go through, you know, the different roles and the different roles of each one. But they all
Mhm.
have significant roles. But there's another one who is very close in proximity with Eshu in terms of whether it's in our house and when we have them together, or if, you know, just in the terms of how the Orishas work together and how they move. And
Mhm.
that Orisha is a very powerful deity as well, and that would be none other than Mr. Ogun,
All
Baba
right.
Ogun. So, can you
Mhm.
kind of, excuse me, share a little bit about what your perspective is on Baba Ogun and his significance in this whole tradition of Orisha?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But before I do, okay, you hit on something that I was, you know, you know, contemplating on speaking on, and that is, you know, when you said, all the Orisha, work together,
Yes.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
and and I was thinking heavily upon this, right before the podcast because throughout my experience, I hear, people who are crowned, quote unquote, okay,
Mm-hmm.
initiated into the, oh well, I'm an Oshun, I'm a Shango, and I'm a this and I'm a that, and you know, through time, okay, I've seen people become um, tunnel visioned,
Mm-hmm.
see, as if their Orisha uh, was, the only Orisha, uh, and the only Orisha that assisted in their growth, the growth of the individual.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, okay, all right, I think it's time for us to open the door a little wider,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because at at no point have I come across, okay, and again, I can only speak for myself,
Right.
where the Orisha operated in isolation.
Facts.
At no point, okay, was it just me by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the exception may be Ogun.
Mm-hmm.
Segue into that. When Ogun took it upon himself to become a recluse, to become, you know, solitary, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And although there are various parables as to why he did it,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I have to stick more with the pre-colonial one,
Mm-hmm.
okay, which had nothing to do with him assaulting any of the female Orisha. Okay, that came later
Mm-hmm.
with syncretism. It what also came later, which was really an eye opener as far as my comparative studies and between pre syncretism and all that kind of with all the Christian kind of thing, and when we speak of Ogun creating the chain, the iron chain by which life became, on this planet. Life
Mm-hmm.
came to be on this planet.
Ashe.
And more specifically, the human being as the supposed epitome of that life. Okay. Sometimes I question. All right. But at any rate, so when I was doing a kind of cross study with again the parables, and then in the syncretism, the chain became a chain of gold
Mm-hmm.
in this particular book, and I'm like, ain't this a mess right here? Because I was always on the iron, and when we look at the Yoruba word for iron, it equates to the formation of man, the formation of woman. Irin, Obirini, Okumi. Okay. We are of iron. Now let's take it another step further. What is the blood composed of? Okay. What brings oxygen throughout the system? Okay. What makes the blood the blood? You know what I mean? Iron. And then when we look at even the formation of us, Ogun is said to be of the bone structure. And what's inside the bone? The marrow. The marrow creates the blood. The marrow needs iron. How did the essence of life come to be? Through the iron. Who is the Orisha who presides over that? Ogun.
I see you. Teach, Baba, teach.
See, we're not playing up in here. We all into the Orisha, but we ain't letting the Orisha come into us.
That's deep. I like that.
Okay, it is exactly that. So Ogun creates the iron chain, the Orisha come down, and and then life is, and then but that's a whole nother podcast. But the whole thing is, it's not gold, it's not silver. Those were all of the Spanish conquistadores and the Catholic priests and all of that. They started changing up as they were killing off our elders. They were killing off those who had acquired a deeper understanding through time and through effort, because we are of no use to them in the labor camps, misnamed plantations. Okay, they were taking all the young bucks. They were taking all and later on the young females to breed. And I don't care how they try to pretty it up or ban it or whatever. Trust me, I've been possessed enough by these spirits to know their truth. And their truth is my truth.
I see.
And my truth is the truth. Okay? So then what happens is that we turn to Ogun. What? What's up?
I didn't mean to interrupt, but as you said that, I promise you, when you said, did you hear that?
I did.
When you said that only is that the truth, that's my truth. When you said that, a bolt of lightning went. I think we talked about this on the last episode. I was telling you about it. Baba, that lightning hit. It was like, I was like, yo. I looked at it, and then you heard the boom. So now,
right.
So the sounds of me as Shango is co-signing that truth.
I do play, Baba.
And listen, that boat was bright. My blinds are closed, and it came through the blinds. Like, that's how bright that. Listen, Isese ain't playing, but I didn't mean to interrupt because you was in the.
No. I felt it. You know what I mean? Something happened. I need to know. Right. And our listeners need to know, because see, we doing more than stirring up the pot here. All right. So then, so Ogun becomes this, this Orisha of deliverance. And that's why I have Ogun as the heart chakra. It's not just about courage. Ogun is not just about war. See, we're stuck on other people's misconceived notions. Ogun is also the Orisha of creativity, not just technology. If you're a painter, if you're a writer, okay, Ogun comes into play. If you're a sculptor, you're using these tools. And they don't have to be made out of iron. They can be made out of wood. They can be made out of plastic. The essence is, Ogun is the Orisha. Obatala is the Orisha of molding. But when it comes down to the force of creativity, It is Ogun.
Mm.
It is Ogun. And you know, and we you know, we're still stuck on Ogun in the war, you know, and Esu opens the road, and okay, yeah. All right. How long we gonna stay stuck on that? You know?
Mm.
And who put us on that in the first place?
Mm.
You see?
Yeah.
So we're stuck somewhere that we don't even need to be. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as you and Ogun is saying, all right, you know, we be free now. Okay. So let's start doing our own investigations. Those of us who have journeyed to Ile Ife, we, you know, we may not have come back with volumes of books, but we came back with seeds.
I say.
Okay. And it's going to take time for those seeds to, you know, germinate and then flower. But eventually they will.
That's facts.
You know? It's taken me since 1992.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I still have more to grow.
That's right.
I don't know how it's going to come, but I know if I keep working at it, you know, if I keep going in,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be finding out, you know.
Look,
So,
you're doing
you
it
know,
every week. Doing it every week here. Every
yeah,
week.
you know, and then, you know, I encourage, you know, all of us to, you know, kind of weigh your revelations, your epiphanies with study, you know. Start, you know, reading about things. Start pulling, you know, from times that are pre-invasion
Mm.
of our lands. And start, you know, listening to people who have put the time in, like Wole Soyinka.
I say.
I would bet my bottom dollar that Ogun is his Orisha. You know what I'm saying?
I can see that just from his voice alone. I mean, he got a real strong, thunderous voice about him, and his
Oh,
energy. I can see that. He got that Ogun demeanor. Like the Oguns are different. They're different. They're different guys. Like
yeah,
or gals. They're different. For the most part, I don't know a whole lot of Oguns, but the few Oguns I know, I see like yeah,
yeah,
that's Ogun.
they walk a little different,
And
you know.
they're different. You know what I mean? But also
Mhm.
you opened up my mind to something as you were speaking about the chain and the way that was so dope how you broke that down. I can't wait to listen to it. You know, on the actual stream of the podcast. But
Mhm.
the way you broke that down, you really kind of changed my perspective of what I would imagine the chain would look like. So when you broke it down the way you broke it down, which was dope. I literally, instead of like visualizing it as a gold chain, I saw literally in my mind, I saw the helix, the double, the double cross
Thank
helix,
you.
is the symbol of, yeah, of creation and genetic DNA and all that good stuff. Like that's literally what I saw in my mind's eye as you was explaining it that way. I'm like, yo, so that's the chain right there, the double helix, with the DNA. So I was like,
Yes.
okay, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. That's why I love that you went there the way you did. That was dope.
Yeah,
That was
because
dope.
see, you know, we you know, and I mean no disrespect to any of my listeners, and of course, and no disrespect or disregard for, you know, the elays out there, but you know, we got to start stepping up, okay, and moving forward with this whole circular thing that we're on, that all this is about is, you know, divinations and their bows, and you know, the drumming and dancing. Okay, yeah, okay, that's a fraction of it. It's a
Right.
fraction. It's not the totality. You know, it wasn't back then, and it need not be now, and
Right.
especially, you know, since Isese, and again, I'm referring back to Wole Soyinka, okay, which I encourage everyone to read. Okay, it is that, you know, he draws a comparison between how we view Orisha, and back to him being a hunter. You know, he lives now in Abeokuta, and
Mm.
he lived there before the industrialization, you know, of it. And he used to go hunting a lot. I was like, yeah, okay, I got you,
Mm.
Ogun the hunter, and all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
But you know, but back to his statement of how we view our Orisha, And he questions that, you know, and it's like I've been, oh man, I've been saying this for years, you know. We're Christianized, and we're Greek mythologized, and we're Latinized. Okay, so our view, our perceiving is tainted, and when we are put in a position where we're challenged, a lot of people become very defensive because this is what I know.
Right.
You know, this is who I am, or this is what my godparent taught me, or this is the way we do it here. And I'm like, okay, but does that mean that you can't learn more and be more? You know, are you so stuck that you can't grow? You won't read. Well, my godmother says I shouldn't read anything. I should just listen to her. I'm like, really? How does that sound to you? You know, but it's prevalent. And I'm like, well, if you buy into that and you putting your money down like that, and you feel as though you're investing in the betterment of yourself to be like spiritually enslaved, then that's you. I'm just gonna call it as I see it, and then I'm gonna walk away. You know, I'm not trying to do anything to you except do what I do. You know,
Right.
okay, just present you with, you know, maybe just another way of looking at it, and perhaps you may see yourself.
Yeah, different perspective. It's always good to just
Yeah.
get different perspectives. It reminds me of a quote that I love from Les Brown. I don't know if he originated or not, but he the one I heard said. But the quote is, "You can't see the picture when you're in the frame."
See.
You know? And that's deep. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, because it really, if you, I'm gonna say it again, you can't see the picture if you're in the frame. So therefore, like what he meant by that is, you for someone who's in that predicament or in that position, they can't really see what they're in because they're in it. But somebody like you who've seen it enough to know that that's not the way you would advise for it to be. So therefore, it's a different perspective, and you can see that clearly because not only have you been in this since the '90s, but you've had a lot of experiences with seeing that type of behavior. So you can see that from the outside looking in, whereas the person who's in the inside really can't see it from the
Yeah.
inside looking out.
Right. You
You know,
know, and unfortunately, you know, for people who have contacted me through the years, you know, oh, my Elay, there's trouble in the Elay, you know, this and that is going on. I said, well, you know, maybe you couldn't see yourself, uh, back to your quote about the frame, but when that frame breaks, where are you? When that frame cracks, when that frame hits the floor and it shatters, where are you? Okay. You haven't been reading, you haven't been, you know, really introspecting, you know, you're all into the Orisha, but you ain't no concept of the Orisha being into you. Okay. And then now you know the frame is broken, and you're wandering and wondering, and you're distrustful. And I've seen people put their Orishas on a shelf in the garage and just walk away.
I've heard about that, man. It's so ironic that you said that because if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if the episode has been premiered yet, but I know one of the recent episodes that I recorded that came up, and it came up, and I'm like, yo, that's nuts. But yeah, it's so ironic that you said that. I don't think that we've uploaded that one yet, but it's coming soon. But yeah, that came up on another podcast that we just did. I'm gonna say this week, about people doing that, and boy, can that be devastating. But Baba, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Oh, no, it's good dialogue, man.
okay, so being that we're on the topic of reading,
No,
this is something that hasn't been done yet. I feel like should have been done a long time ago, but we're gonna go ahead and do it today. So with that, I want to kind of pause for the a quick commercial break because I don't know how aware everyone is that follows the channel about your prolific work in terms of written literature that you have created throughout your career. But I want to share something real quick just for those who may not be aware of who you are and what you've accomplished in terms of your success as an author. So with that, Baba, I want to kind of share something real quick. So for those who aren't familiar with Baba Karade's work, so we have several of his books here now. So the first one was the first one that I personally was first, exposed to, which really, I mean, literally, it set my whole trajectory and my whole path of Orisha worship and Isese tradition on a whole other level. Because prior to receiving that book, I only read one book that was on the topic prior to Baba. So that was the first one, and then Ochoosi, man, that one it was nuts because I didn't add all the rest of them out. And then when we spoke one time, I believe it was on a podcast, and it came up, and you told me about Ochoosi. I'm like, yo, that's crazy. I believe it was like maybe within no more than a month, maybe even 2 or 3 weeks before I was getting ready to go into the room for Obatala. And I'm like, timing of this book it couldn't have been more perfect because it was perfect timing. Like it really, both of them are dope. But the handbook served its purposes. To me, it'll be my fundamental playbook. I always listen to it, and mind you, it's in three forms. It's in paperback, audiobook, and ebook. So I got in all three because I'm always studying it. But then OGC, that was like perfect timing for that book for you to tell me about it because it really gave me. I prepared myself the best of my ability going into the room, but when I got access to OGC, I think it took my preparation to a whole nother level. And I feel like there was the only thing that you didn't share in that book are the things that are sacred that are not to be shared unless it's someone who's going through the process of becoming an EIO. So it was like it really gave me another level of preparation to see how everything looked, not only from the Orisha initiation, but also from the E5 initiation. Whereas that one, you couldn't go, as far in as you did with the Orisha, but it still gave me enough to even help me with when I did, go that route with E5. So it was a very informative book that, it makes it hard for me to like say which one I like better, but I'm not going to choose. I'm just going to say they eat Beijis. They the twins.
Okay.
I ride with them both people. But then Souls of Myrrh, Elders Reflections, New Religion Traditions, New Global Perspective, as well as A Place of Knights and Men, the Resurrection. So you got quite of a portfolio, Baba. You got quite a portfolio. So you want to share anything with the people? Just kind of look just a little bit on each one, and like what kind of.
Yeah. Well, I'll give a general overview, and then maybe hit one or two this time and one or two the next time. Keep people all right, interested. All right. Uh, we have a major problem as as statistics clearly show. Okay, we don't read enough. We're kind of like at the bottom of the literacy proficiency barrel. Uh, I work with college students. I work with juniors and seniors in high school. Okay, and the whole notion of the talented 10th, as pushed forward by W.E.B. Du Bois, became the kind of go-to formula. And even prior to its death, Du Bois had to state that he was wrong. Okay, you can't have 10% of our people, basically literate and 90% not.
Right.
I mean, there's just when you think about it. Okay. Trying to make a way in a very oppressive and more so racial and the delusion of white supremacy, and trying to avert being lynched and imprisoned and all that. I could see where he would come up with, we need to create an intelligentsia, to put our folks in position so that we can offer some counterbalance, as lawyers, judges, physicians, okay? And only to find out that most of the Black folks who went to the college and attained these degrees, the majority of them wound up working on the railroads. Okay, because you could have a master's degree and you're a porter, and working on a train because you just couldn't get a job, not because you weren't qualified,
Right.
But because you weren't one of them. And the few that did make it through was okay, fine. But by the time he died, he started looking at the levels of incarceration, the levels of early childhood deaths, And he's like, well, maybe Booker T was right. We need to develop skills. We need to become literate in mass. Now, right. I say all this to open up that I do have an understanding of why the majority of us don't read. I do. It's my profession. I've been working, as a teacher since the 80s. So, and I've been an advocate for, we have to change how we teach in order to bring about, the inspirational and the motivational. Okay. So I have the books out. And yeah, I wrote the book for people to read.
Right.
But that was secondary. I wrote the book because I was possessed. I didn't have any other choice. Okay. It's like, well, why did you become, a priest? And to have a congregation, to have followers, no, that wasn't the primary reason. The primary reason was because I'm going insane. The voices in my head, the types of things that was happening to me, eating flower petals and all kinds of crazy stuff was happening, hearing people's thoughts and, carrying on. It's like, I need to be somewhere where this can be grounded back to Ogun, and then just side note, I had people calling me just last week, oh, my life is in shambles and all that. I got my warriors, the cauldron and all of that. I said, well, did anybody talk to you about, having an Ogun chain, an iron chain on your left ankle to help you become grounded, to bring that symbolic? She was like, no. I said, well, how long you been in this LA? Oh, for a long time. I said, well, what are they doing? I think you got all these things in your cauldron. You got your anvil, you got your hammer, you got your machete, you got your rake. All this and all that. I said, well, did anybody talk to you about what they are supposed to do for you? What they're not just there. They're not toys. So what is that hammer and anvil about? Well, you got to start forging your life, like a blacksmith. Back to Ogun, so you got all these things, but you got nothing. Oh, I got to feed my warriors. Oh yeah, okay, well, really? What are you feeding your warriors? Everything but your insight. You understand? And so why is that rake there? Well, maybe because, just like you rake the yard, you got to gather stuff up that you probably don't need to have and get rid of it. Okay? And Ogun is screaming at you and saying these things are going in the pot for a reason. Why do you have that machete? Oh, well, you got to clear the road if you're going to travel it. You got to cut some shit out, okay, so that you can move freely. So you got all these things, but you got nothing, So Yeah, that's a little side note. Okay.
No, ain't no side note. Listen, you in the zone. Can we please continue to go? First of all, yeah, because listen, I actually had to chain. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to chain on several family members. But can you keep going with that? Because listen, I feel like don't stop a good thing when listen.
When it's rolling, right?
I feel like we're in the game, and you like said. Now you on fire. You hitting threes from every angle on the court. Listen. We gotta keep feeding the beast. We want more.
Okay, because see, we ain't come here to play. Orisha or not. These little sky gods. You know what I mean, and waiting to do you a favor. No, they trying to grow your behind. They trying to make you into something that has been stripped from you via enslavement, via the whole oppression. Okay, right. So you can feed them all you want, but is life becoming better for you, or you just kind of distracted from the seriousness? Okay. And see, that's when people say, "Oh, well, it worked. Did it, or you just moved yourself away from it?" It's like, "Oh, I got high, but when I came back, I still had to deal with this crazy boss that I have, or this child that is just he ain't listening to me. You know what I mean, or whatever." So it's like, okay, well, maybe we have to internalize it a bit more, and make change from within the best that we can. And again, the first thing we need to understand what's in that pot and why it's in there. So if we're going to feed it, we need to know what we're feeding.
I love it, Baba. Can we keep going with that? Because I'm telling you that this is
you don't want me to let go.
This is some heat, man. Like for real, I love it. I'm here. I'm like the Michael Jackson emoji with the popcorn. Let me just go ahead and get start digging in because I'm like, hey. Yeah, because you hit the machete, you hit the chain, right. you hit the hammer. But can you let them know about what the hoe is for, what the shovel is for, what the anvil? Can you put a little more of that, Baba?
Well, based on the examples that I shared, it's real clear. And you got that shovel. Sometimes you got to dig for that treasure. It ain't going to just jump out the ground. Okay, you got to dig for it. And on the other end, you may have to bury some parts of yourself.
Wow.
You just got to bury. You got to dig a hole, put them in there, and then fill the hole and say, "I'm done with you. I may have memories of you, but I'm done with that part of me that was leading to my death." I had a person one time, going on and this and that about the thing and that. I said, well, maybe you need to take 1 foot out the grave. Take that 1 foot out the grave. Okay. Because see, you're burying yourself. And you may need that shovel, to kind of to free yourself or to free someone else. Because it ain't all about you all the time. Okay, but take that 1 foot out the grave. Okay, and start living and stop dying. And then that can go in many directions, but we got to look at it. Are we dying or are we living?
That's right.
Then we start talking about our diet. We start talking about our attitude. We start talking about, not getting enough iron. We start talking about our nutritional levels. Are we living to live? Or are we just, waiting for, some sky god to, embrace us? And so it's like, we'll just suffer, instead of saying, Orisha, okay, I'm about longevity right now. Okay. Orisha, I'm about having, a nice little nest egg right now. I don't have to be a, super professional. I don't have to be amongst the talented 10th. Okay. I just have to be right. I just have to be right. Okay. So, yeah. So when we bring Ogun into it, and the containment of the Ogun essence, in the cauldron, okay, it's imperative, that we kind of ground ourselves, and again, that chain, it assists in the process,
Mm-hmm.
with the understanding that that's what it's supposed to do.
Mm.
It ain't gonna do it just because you put it on.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, and this kind of leads to something else that I don't want to trip on right now, but it crossed my mind in terms of, it's like, just because you get initiated, that doesn't make you spiritual.
Listen, okay, listen. So, listen. So I listen. I've been just like soaking it all in. I'm loving it. Like a McDonald's commercial. I'm loving it. Like, cause it's in the zone. I love to see people heat up. I love it. And
Mhm.
so you real hot. You real hot. It's coals right now. So,
Right.
but
You know what
but
I mean?
I want to know this because that
Mhm.
that was a common theme. That was like the theme of last week is like humility,
Yeah.
um, like service over ego,
Yeah.
titles, and all these different things that we see in this culture. But
Yeah.
the guest from last week really like drove the point home that this is about service. This is about humility. This is about removing egos. This is about the we over me. I mean, I love the fact that all of them, like and it wasn't even like premeditated. It wasn't planned. It just was,
Yeah.
we had set shows lined up and we had set topics. Almost every guest went their own route into talking about how the humility that you have to have, even as a priest. Like the initiation is just the beginning.
Right.
So the quote Baba Tolu is like, you don't go to college and the first day as a freshman they give you your degree. No, you got to go there and work your ass off for the next 4 years before you get that degree. So that's how he equates like the initiation is just the beginning. You ain't did nothing yet. You just
Right.
started. You a baby EIO or owl for a reason. Like it's a
All right.
lot of learning that goes
Right.
to be considered to be a true Baba Orisha or a true Babalawo or EID
Mhm.
or
Right.
EIO.
Right.
So it
Yes.
really is just the beginning. But with that, for those who haven't made it to that phase yet, but they have received their legates and they have received their warriors, how
Mhm.
can people establish the relationship with Eshu? And since we've kind of Ogun kind of dominated the conversation for the most part,
Yeah.
how can
Yeah.
people like work with their Ogun to really go about, using those tools to really try to work on manifesting the things that they want in their life, like removing the BS, like, ironing out or hammering down on the goals or the tasks or,
Mhm.
the visions that they want to create
Right.
to be able to create maybe a stream of financial income or to create a business that's lucrative or create abundance financially or even if it's spiritually, to develop spiritually, to evolve or mentally or emotionally, like whatever it is that they're struggling with. We know that these tools are at our disposal within our cauldron and within our Ogun. But what are some ways that we can kind of use these tools in a tangible way to work with Ogun or have Ogun work with us for us to be able to leverage the strength and the power that we have with the access to a deity like Ogun?
Okay. Now that's a powerful question. I'm going to start off with a statement about initiation, and I'm gonna tie it in. Okay. And that statement is something to the effect of Atite na kiotun ra'ete. Once you've been initiated, it is now your responsibility to continually reinitiate yourself. That's straight out of E5.
Shit.
Now, if you're continually reinitiating yourself, okay, it's not about ceremony, and I mean that's cool. Again, different folks for different strokes. Okay, but I mean, some people make it through because they like ceremonies. That's their thing. Some people make it through because you know they like knowledge. You know what I mean? They like seeking knowledge. Okay. Now, no matter what it takes to get you through, what you kind of predispose, you know, to do. Got to have an understanding. So understanding comes from basically what you've been taught, especially in your formative years. And when you first get initiated, okay, you're in a very, formative state. You're like a baby. Okay, you're soaking in stuff, and you're believing that all of this is believable, what you're being told. And in order for you to be a good godchild, quote unquote, you follow what you're told to do, and you go as deep as your godparent, takes you. Okay. And so you don't really, more not often than often, you don't see the correlation between Orisha and life. Okay. Because the connection basically is, and I say this with no hesitation, is that the Orisha are not your salvation. The Orisha are not your salvation. Okay. The Abrahamics are your salvation. Judeo-Christian Islam. Okay. That's your salvation. That's what you've been reared on. That's what your mama was reared on. That's what your granddaddy was reared on. Okay. So that's what the society can continually inject you with. That's what the books that you go to school. That's what they constantly remind you of. Keep you in that frame. Okay. So when it comes down to Isese, the strongest and the most courageous thing that we can do is see that we're in the frame. That's the most powerful statement that we can make. Good. We can't break out of it unless we see ourselves in it. And we can't be complacent, and we can't be content, and we can't keep jumping up and down, and we can't keep making 500 elbows a year, you know what I mean? And carrying on and getting, as I shared with, someone, having a museum of, 900 different Orisha pots and stuff all in, and being absolutely clueless in respect to how is this improving my life again? How is it? So that fear factor, and yeah, I went through all of that in the beginning. Oh, well, if you don't do this, then this, and Orisha want you to do this, and if you don't, then that, and if you don't do this, Ebo, right now, there's, you're gonna fall off a cliff, and it's like, oh, come on now, okay. So the most courageous thing we can do is that anything else that I even mention about doing will fall upon ears that hear what I'm saying, but no transformation going on. It's just something else somebody talking about, because I'm still in the frame. I hear you, but I ain't really listening.
Right.
So we got to step out of the frame. One of the reasons why, part of writing those books was to help me break out of the frame, man. I was in my 40s. I've been raised in this. I was around with, Malcolm Martin and everybody else. Those are my times. And those times aren't here anymore. And for these generations afterwards, having that kind of revolutionary, seed planted makes it even more difficult. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because oh, you're into that black thing. I had one person I was doing that interview, and they commented, "Oh man, seems like you into like a black revolution and all that kind of stuff." And Orisha aren't about that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What do you mean they're not about it? What do you mean they're not about it? They're everything about it. How are we going to be free and not be liberated? And how are we going to have Orisha if they're not part of that, formula for liberation? Okay. So, you're not making any sense. And that, because, I used to travel a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and talks in here and there and everywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
like, well, you talk about Orisha, but, I'm not really here. I don't really want to hear that. I said, well, you don't want to hear it. There's a door,
Mm.
because you can't separate being in Orisha, in a Sheshe, with your salvation, with your betterment, with your belief system, with your understanding. And it all stems from your knowledge.
Mm.
You don't want to have knowledge of how to improve your life through Orisha. You just want to handle a situation.
Mm.
And that's been the general context. I need a reading because of this. I need a reading because of that. Da 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 da. But I very rarely do I hear somebody say, I need to be in the Sheshe to save my soul.
Mm. You know what, Bubba? That reminds me of, like, we're in this culture now where it's like we gotta have it now. It has to happen now. Like this microwave culture, right? So you see it with the BBLs. You see it, hell, even men, I think, are getting some of these cosmetic. These cosmetic surgeries, man, it's sad. It really is. But it goes down to the mold of, being, I quote one of my cousins, he had an acronym he called POTE, POTE, which stands for Product of the Environment.
Okay.
And I think that's what a lot of the people that we're seeing now, they're a product of the environment, but they don't have any sense of self-love or self, actualization or knowing thyself. So they're easily influenced by, the environment, by the pop culture. But I
Sure.
say all that to say, even like people getting fake locks, getting locks installed instead of taking the time to grow the locks. And, it's just this microwave mentality where everybody wants everything instant, but nothing is instant that's worth having, And I remember when you said that, um, something you said that triggered the thought in my mind about like people not being willing to work towards, the journey. Like, and it was people aren't getting this for salvation for their soul. So it
Yes.
reminds me of, like growing up, I always been like a really really skinny dude, and so funny because I had to start working out, and I think like 05, 06 is when I first really got consistent with working out. But and from there, I remember it was so funny because then like when I would be around, I think I was in like my mid to late 20s then. So like when I would go hang out at the club or wherever I was going, I would see people that ain't seen me since school, like, yo, what you doing, man? You on roids or something? Like, what's going on, bro? Like. I put on a little size, so it was like they so used to seeing me like really, really skinny. I had put on a little size or whatever, put on like maybe 25, 30 pounds. And it was just funny because the response from them. But then it sparks people's attention, like people who were either overweight that wanted to get in shape or people who were small like I was that wanted to get bigger. And like the number one thing I would tell them is like, man, listen, you can join a gym, you can take supplements, you can do all this, but until you make exercising and working out consistently a lifestyle, it doesn't matter what supplements you get. It don't matter what kind of crash or fad diet that you take. Like none of that's going to help you. It'll help you get immediate results, but it's not going to help you sustain for the long run. See, there's a big difference between doing something or or building something. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was more about like what you were saying. It was like working with Ogun. I got tired of seeing myself being this little skinny dude with my white beaters all a little saggy on me. I said, I want to things up. It was like when 50 Cent first came out, he came out with the white beaters and you know what I'm saying? Like Like, man, you know what? I need to fill me up a white beater. So, but and that was the sole reason. I was driven. I was motivated and focused to change the way, I was in that frame. So I was in the frame that was a little smaller than what I like. So I literally said, you know what? I'm going to work my ass off until I get to the size frame that I want. And once I got there, I knew I had to stay consistent, because if I fell off even for like a week or two, I could feel myself and see myself shriveling back up, getting small again. So it's like, you can't just join a gym or take a supplement, or now they're doing all these different weight loss. You can't do that and think that that's the end all be all, because you got them immediate microwave results that's going to stay that way. Because along the way, what you didn't realize is you didn't create the process of continuously working like Ogun and working with the tools that you have in order to make it a lifestyle, to then, to where it's effortless. Ashe is a product of that. We spoke about this a couple of years ago on a podcast, and you spoke about a lighthouse. And it took a while for the spirit, Orisha and the ancestors to kind of align and put everything in place, but now it's here. And I wasn't ready when we started, but I just knew that spirit that you were talking about earlier, them voices, they was on me, and they was on me. I said, you know what? Listen, I'm gonna go ahead and get this. Even though I ain't ready, I'm gonna go ahead and go, because I don't want them problems. Like, when them voices get to going and they get to going loud, I'm like, I don't want them problems. Let me go ahead and get this thing started, boy. I don't want no smoke.
Yeah, man.
None.
Shoot, man. Voices.
Yeah,
so I'm deep into the analogy that you're making. If Orisha are going to change us, we have to work at it. Just going to the Oloye clearly is not enough. Okay, you got to know what you're doing, and you got to do it gradually. I'm sure you didn't start off lifting up 200 pounds or whatever. You build your strength through time and through effort and through knowledge. You listen to people who are there. They got training coaches. You know what? I'm sure you did some you read up on some things. Am I right? You just didn't go to the gym.
Yeah. It was people who been doing it. That was just like how when I came to you, as a devotee, I came to you because first you was doing it without knowing you was doing it, because I was reading your work. But then when we connected on social media, I reached out, and and the rest is history. And you can share how many times I've called you and asked you questions about things that I need, guidance and assistance with on my journey, because I'm never going to do or act or speak on something that I don't know. I'm never going to do that, because I know that if I don't know, I have access to, or I know somebody who knows. So it was the same thing with that, with my exercise journey. It was brothers who had been doing it, and I jumped in with them. So now it's not me against the world; it's me against me, and consistency. You know what I mean? And that's where I think a lot of us have to really, the value of a mentor or a coach is priceless. Absolutely priceless. You can't put a price tag on the value of a mentor or a coach, because there's nobody who can show you how to do something better than somebody who's already done it. And so that is like the most invaluable thing ever, because you just can't put a price on that. And it goes back to me, even with my journey, you were one of the perfect people for me to come to assist me in my journey, because you're somebody who already did what I was on my path to doing. Even to when it comes to writing my first book, my cousin, shout out to Crystal Center Brown, she actually held my hand through that process. So she made that process so much faster for me than somebody who would have just went out. Mind you, back then it wasn't no AI, it wasn't, all these sites where you could just go and do all. It wasn't none. You had to sit down and write this stuff like, with a pen and paper, or maybe whichever way you chose, but you had to really get it out the mud. But she held my hand throughout the whole process and gave me the framework of how to create an outline, of how to come up with a title, how to come up with a subtitle, how to lay out each chapter, with your chapter heading, your chapter title, and then your subtopics for that chapter. She gave me the whole process, the whole framework. She didn't write the book for me, but she gave me the framework on how to do so. And that, like I said, that's what we're here for with Ashe, to be those people who are able to, to try to create this lighthouse. And I didn't say create, to run this lighthouse in order to help our people who want to continue to grow on this journey.
Yes, sir. So in answer to your question, how are people going to basically apply the Ashe of the Isese, I talked about Abba. I'm giving the internal. Now, I know that everybody's not going to, going to feel this, okay? And I know that some people may feel it later on, okay? But I also know that some people feeling it right now. Like, Baba is insane on point, okay? And and nobody's having these kind of discussions. But how can they be debated? How can they be denied? And again, the analogies that you just drew between the gym and writing a book and all of that, it has to be studied up on. Okay. And I've had my days, like I said, I've ran my Oloye for over 21 years. I ain't miss a day. Okay. But I learned from it. And when it came down to the point where Esu or Rumila and everybody else sitting at the table was like, well, it's time for everybody to get up. We going to someplace else. I'm like, well, where y'all going? I said, the only way you're going to know is if you come along. We ain't going to tell you. You know what I mean? So you got to get up. Now you can stay here and run your temple and, and have your initiations, all that kind of stuff. But we telling you that we moving on because there's someplace else that all of us, there's somewhere else that all of us need to be. So the decision is now up to you. I said, well, let me get my stuff. Let me move on. So I shut the temple down and told all the people, I didn't give you all I need to give you. You need to start giving yourself more. Okay. You need to start giving yourself more. Build your own throne. And those were my last words. I shut the doors. Okay. And sometimes, we just have to do that. When everybody else, in our spiritual realm and we all in the Orisha, we lighting our candles and blah, 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 blah. But when they say, oh, it's time to move on, we're like, oh, man, I don't think so. And when a mentor comes along and is giving you some, relative truths, I can't say that everything that I'm saying is true for everybody. But I'm studied. I'm experienced. I'm aged. I may have a little something else to say that you might consider. And if you're ready to move on, then as Baba Orisha Bemi was saying, the lighthouse is here. The lighthouse doesn't make the sea any calmer. The lighthouse doesn't remove the rocks. The lighthouse doesn't keep every ship from crashing. But the majority of folks are saved by it.
Sure.
And we and neither of us are saying that we're here to save you. Okay. But we're here to show you that if you see yourself and the Orisha, you'll start to, navigate your way back to Esu, back to Esu, and seeing the Esu element, the Esu essence for what it really is. Okay. And see all the Orisha working together. And even when Ogun was in isolation, they pulled him out. The people of the town that he founded kept pulling him out. Come on, lead us. And Ogun is like, no, you don't want me to lead you. I'm better off, in the woods. They finally brought him out.
Was it Oshun who brought him out? Or that Oshun was
only? That's the syncretism. That's post us.
Got you.
Good, the woman as the temptress kind of thing.
Got you.
That wasn't us. Like Jakuta came before Sean, that was happening before. Okay. So he goes into the town and he battles, with the warriors of that town, to offset the invasion of another group. But now Ogun he's in his rage. He's in his blood, and he starts killing off the people of the village. Okay. And when the dust and the blood settle, the earth is soaked.
Mm.
Ogun looks and he just basically, I tried to tell him. You know what I mean? I tried. I tried. And he goes back into the forest. Okay. He goes back into the forest. So, these instances, can continually remind us that we have to learn from these things,
Mm.
In order to save ourselves.
Mm.
Because ultimately, there's no there ain't nothing else going to save you.
Yeah, that's real.
Ain't nothing else going to save you. You can have all the belief in whatever you want to have belief in, but at the end of and at the beginning of each and every day, are you about the process of saving yourself? And if you're into Isese, are you just into Isese to be on the dark side, to be into the supernatural and all that kind of stuff, or claim some kind of African spirituality? But yet you're not learning anything. You're not going in.
Mm.
Stay tuned to this podcast. All right, I'm telling you.
Listen, I think that's a mic drop right there. I think that's a mic drop, man. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. So
And
with
read
that,
my books. and read my books. That way, you can talk to me right here, right now.
yes,
Okay,
sir.
read my books. Again, I didn't write them, to be read. That wasn't the initial. I'm trying because I had to pour out my heart. I had to cleanse my soul.
Mm.
And then when people read, they get a sense of that. They get
Mm.
a sense that Bob is sincere.
Mm-hmm.
He's not just writing to get money. He didn't have his Oloye to have a whole bunch of followers and people bowing down and all that kind of stuff. The man is sincere. His spirit is sincere.
Gosh, that's
You know,
facts. Yes, sir. Yeah, and I'm gonna put the links. I'll put the links in the show description for all of the books
I
from the
appreciate it.
handbook, the Yoruba handbook, which is available on all three. Uh, it's available in the written form and the audio form, as well as the ebook form, and then OGC, Souls of Myrrh, Elder Reflections, Religious Tradition, New Global Perspective, and A Place of Nights and War, The Resurrection. I definitely share the links to all of them. They're all on Amazon, people, if you want to get them.
Right.
But we'll also put the links in there in the show description as well, for your
Cool.
support. And I'll thank you in advance because I know there are going to be some loyal supporters who will go out and buy the books because they are, priceless, I should say, priceless pieces of treasures of wisdom, and they definitely have been extremely beneficial for me and my journey and so many others that I know. Baba's work has definitely spoke volumes amongst the Orisha, Ifa, Isese tradition, and it continues, and he continues to speak volumes so graciously for us here at the African Spirituality Experience. So I'm always grateful. I take pride to give thanks. And yes, sir. You got something?
Oh, no. I'll wait. Please finish.
I got you. Yeah. So always grateful as usual, for you taking the time, to come spend time and chop it up with us. On top of, the time that you spend with me off the platform and off the air to kind of help me to mold myself for my journey, to be here to pour into the community, literally. And I'm excited about it because I see the difference. I see the results, and the people love it, and they're looking forward to the community, man. So for those who have enjoyed Baba's work, we definitely are in the midst of creating a private community where we can take these calls offline and take them to a way deeper depths in terms of what we're sharing with the traditions of Ifa, Orisha, and Isese. So stay tuned for that. We're working on laying out the fundamental framework and the curriculums, etc. And you'll be seeing that on the channel in the very near future. So, Baba, did you have anything in closing that you want to drop on the people?
Yeah. Talking about the books. So I just flew through my mind. I remember, as the old folks say, I remember when I first heard that uh, some of the Babas and Iyas were utilizing the handbook in their initiations.
Mm.
I think that was, you know, amongst some of the top moments of my appreciation.
Gotcha.
You see, because prior to that, all I was getting was flat. People was literally burning the books, going into bookstores, you know, talking smack about the book and carrying on. And I'm like, well, whatever. You know what I mean? You know, that it's out, and it's out on a global level, and you know, haters going to hate,
Hey.
you know. But you know, the threats against me and all that kind of stuff from the so-called Babas and Iyas. I'm like, well, really? Really? This is the best you got, you know, you know. But at any rate, when I started hearing that our folks, you know, the African in America, were pulling, you know, the handbook into their initiatory rites of passage and all, I was elated. You know, it made all of the flack and people who were ready to, you know, lynch me, you know, because how dare I, you know, speak, you know, beyond their parochial framework and, you know, God in heaven and, you know, Sistine Chapel and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I ain't got time for that. Yo, are you kidding me? You
Right.
know, you telling with no child. I'm a grown ass man.
No, that's right.
All right. So I just, you know, just want to say that you know, the books are instrumental, you know, and each one is like a string on a guitar, you
Mm.
know, or notes on a piano, or the different tones on the drum,
Mm.
you know. And when you read each of them and start, and then you start to, you know, you start to see them as being instrumental,
Gotcha.
you know. I'll leave with that. You know what I mean? Might sound a little crazy, you know, but I ain't really trying to sell the book. You know, I ain't here to sell the books. You know, I'm here to extend who I am.
There you go. Gotcha.
You know, the books are an extension of me, and I'm open to dialogue. People call me and talk to me and say whatever they got to say, and either I'm gonna listen and take the heat, or I'm gonna say you just, you know, you just trolling. I ain't got time for you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so you know, it's kind of the world that I exist in. You know, where everything means something and something don't really mean nothing. You know what I mean?
Sir.
It's wild.
Yes, sir. That's what's up.
Them voices, man. Whew.
Look, we gotta have to call it just the voices alone. You ain't the only one to be having them voices. Yeah. You ain't the only one to be having them voices, bye boy. I'm telling you, some of mine, I'll be like, man, look, y'all better go ahead and get back in the back. I'm gonna lock y'all away because I can't be dealing with y'all out here, man. Y'all can't be out in the general public.
You got me. I'm gonna do whatever you say do.
Listen,
Okay. I mean, really.
listen, yeah, that is a real thing.
Lighten up. Phew.
Yes, sir. That's what's up. Well, now I appreciate it. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very prolific episode. Once again, Baba, appreciate you for coming through. You was definitely in your bag tonight, man. You was in your bag. You was in the zone. So I appreciate it. And you know, I'm sure the listeners will too. They're gonna love it just as much as I did, for sure. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to join us. And yeah. Mhm.
They're gonna subscribe, right?
That's another thing. Yeah, please, family, we appreciate y'all. You know, and first, I really want to give thanks for everybody who's already subscribed, who's watching the content, who's watching the channel, who's you know, a faithful supporter. We really appreciate it. But you know, we can see the statistics and it's showing that, you know, there's actually more people who watch the channel that's unsubscribed than people who are subscribed. So for those, you know, if you're enjoying the content, you know, and you're watching it and you're tuning in with us every week, and, you know, we're doing our best to put, you know, quality, positive, you know, content out there to really spread light and love, you know, to the Shay community. But, you know, I think it takes literally about one button, you know, to hit to subscribe, and you don't have to pay. It ain't like, you know, you're paying to subscribe. So, you know, it's just one button that helps us grow within the YouTube algorithms. It helps us grow in terms of exposure, expansion to reach more people who are like-minded to, you know, join the Ashe African Spirituality Experience YouTube community. So yeah, if you are a watcher and you're a loyal watcher and you're watching on a regular basis, can you please do us a favor and just hit the subscribe button? And in that way, you know, we can kind of continue to grow and to be able to express, you know, expand in the YouTube algorithms, and that way we can kind of grow this channel and grow the movement, you know. And I feel like we do have a fundamental, basic foundation laid, and I see that it's, you know, it's steady growing. So we're going to continue to plant seeds and nurture and cultivate, you know, the community, and we're going to continue to bring, you know, new guests and continue to bring back the, you know, previous guests and the speakers, and, you know, we're going to continue to grow and build the Ashe. So it does help for every single one of our subscribers, you know, that does join, that hits the subscribe button. So if you could, family, please hit the subscribe button, so that way we continue to grow and show YouTube that, you know, we're here to stay and we're here to continue to make moves every day. So that's my little shameless plug, you know what I mean? You know, not only Baba's work, but to plug the channel.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Come on, people, hit the button. Hit the button.
Yeah. It's free.
Free right.
I said it's free. It's free 99. It's free 99. That's all. You know, free 99 to hit that subscribe button. But yeah, we appreciate all the love and support. On a serious note, we really do. I appreciate all y'all who've been rocking with us. It goes a long ways, and it continues to motivate us to continue to put in the work. So we definitely got some beautiful things coming. We got some surprises coming too. That's already. I wasn't gonna speak on it until it was done, but we got some surprises coming too. So y'all gonna get some. We're gonna get some dope surprises in the very near future. So we look forward to sharing that with you all, and we definitely know Baba and myself will be back next week with another one. So we here and we at it. We're going in and we're going hard. And shout out to Baba Ogun. Yes, sir.
All right. All
right, Baba. I appreciate you. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha Bami. Shout out to Baba Oloye Ifa Karade for coming in and dropping jewels after jewels after jewels, man. We appreciate you, Baba. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see y'all on the next episode. We out. Peace.
No doubt.